Okay, so you've all got a program in your pack, but I'm going to introduce Sarah now, who hopefully needs no real introducing, but Sarah's going to give us an overview of the SEREN Connect program. And most of you will know Sarah already. She's an author of the SEREN Connect program, lead organizer for today's event. If you've only met Sarah through her role as the Diabetes Transitional Care National Coordinator for the NHS Health Collaborative, then you may not know that prior to this, she spent several years working with teenagers who were at risk of dropping out of education and struggling to engage with school life. It was during this time that she believed similar programs would benefit young people struggling to manage their diabetes. So Sarah, over to you, and thank you.
Thanks, Davida. That was great. Do you know what? It's wonderful to be here today and see so many of you from peds and adults. It's always quite difficult. Everyone says nobody comes, and actually they do. And I'm so grateful to have you all here. So I hope you have a really good day. Like I said, the overview, some of you will already be familiar, but if you are new to diabetes or if you're new to just coming into transitional care, I just want you to know what's out there, what you can use. And we know there's some issues with how you're getting up and running, but there's still things you can do. So I hope by the end of the day, you'll be inspired and want to use them. So I just wanted to give you a bit of, when we talk about education, my personal view is that we don't value, well, we do value it, but we don't put the emphasis enough on education, how important it is to be able to actually manage your condition and give the confidence and motivation to young people and all people with diabetes. We know that we struggle to get young people, and again, all people, I say young people by the day job, to come to these courses, but actually when they do come, they do really value it. And we're going to hear from some speakers after about some of the courses they've attended and the difference it's made. But within Wales, we've got some really good innovative resources there. So if somebody were to be diagnosed as a child or in their teenage years, we've actually got SEREN at diagnosis. And that's a really comprehensive, getting families up to speed with the medical side of diabetes. Again, then if somebody were to come in and be diagnosed in their late teens or early 20s, we'd probably get them on a DAPHNE course and we'd help them sort of carb count and again, the medical side of diabetes. And those programs are great. But what I felt was missing was the bit that connects when you leave the healthcare setting, when you go into school, when you go into your job, when you go into the other things, and actually finding space to make, you know, diabetes manageable in those things. And that's what I wanted SEREN Connect to do. I wanted it to be resources that healthcare professionals can have on a shelf on a one-to-one basis or as a program to be able to help young people connect diabetes with their life. So instead of sometimes feeling completely overwhelmed by their condition, they can wrap it up a little bit and take it with them for everything they do. And that's what the program should be doing. I also wanted to create something that actually the top end of pediatrics could use, and so could the bottom end of adults. I know that the resources in that particular area is quite scarce. So we wanted something that everybody would be saying the same and singing from the same hymn sheet. And then I wanted more than anything, you to have a bit of a structure that could help you do that, to manage your time and to have a better comprehensive way of being able to engage with young people. And that's why the resources are there to help you. It is, in a nutshell, less about type 1 diabetes. Those medical education programs already exist. It's more about living with it. And that's the whole program in a nutshell, really. So you should have already seen the booklets in your health boards, excuse me a sec. And if you're not there on their table, you can take some away with you today. Ness is manning my stand in the back there before leaving. But we've got some pretty good topics that seem to be getting some good feedback from young people when they've been introduced. And it was from young people's opinions these booklets actually came. What information was needed that they probably, when you ask young adults what they learnt the hard way, as they told me, you know, and probably needed that information more up front. So we've got alcohol, learning to drive and driving safely, moving to university and in the workplace, so when you leave school. And we've got sex and relationships and travel and events. And then we've got like a mini diabetes related complications series, which is helping people proactively understand what they can do to look after their own feet, their eyes and their kidneys. And actually, if we do get complications down the line, there's a team of people that can then help you with that as well. So it's not all doom and gloom, and life doesn't end when complications begin. And the one I'm really struggling with at the minute, it's been a bit delayed because of COVID and everything else, is the pregnancy and parenting. I'd really welcome any help from anyone in the room or anyone you know that can't be here today that would like to get involved, just to bounce some ideas around. I need a few medical colleagues to help me with that. So if you do, please register your interest with Ness and I can contact you after today. That will be the final booklet that we'll have in the initial series, then hopefully out at some point early next year. So again, these booklets, they can have multiple uses, okay? I want you to be able to use them to your advantage. You can use them one-to-one in clinic sessions from as early as 14 or as often as young people need that information, because it's really hard to put that in a pathway when people's lives are so individual and different. You can use them to educate family, friends and partners, and that's really important as young people grow up and they have different people introduced into their lives and as their social circle changes as well. You can build upon these in the group sessions. The programme then is to build on, because it's not enough to just give education in a form of a booklet and expect people to read it. We need to have engaging conversations and actually educate with that as well. And that's where the group sessions will come into play. They're really useful for anyone that's newly diagnosed in their teens and early 20s. And you can use them as a refresher information as often as required as well. One of the things I'd like to do as well is you can use them to have promoting role in education, where you might promote topic of the month or send them out online. And you could do that throughout the year where, you know, if you know there's going to be a time where young people are more tending to be able to go out and party, maybe exam results night, you might want to send that out first. Traveling, send that out in the spring before people are probably planning their summer get together with a girls' or boys' holiday. They've got a really nice feel to them. All of the artwork has been sort of scrutinised by young people, because we want them to feel that people have put these together actually get diabetes. It's really important that the artwork represented what diabetes looked like. There is no point having graphs that are all nice in line all the time, because that doesn't represent living with type 1 diabetes, and that came from the young people. And that's actually coming back as feedback as well. They're saying, this actually looks like my graph, and that's exactly, it's lovely to hear, because that's what we wanted when the team of us put it together. Just give you a bit of a feel for the booklets, but you can look through them yourself today. So then the healthcare professional resources for group educations in your pack. And if you've not got any, please again register with Nest today and we'll get some out to you in the next couple of weeks. There's an A4 box file. I wanted something that didn't require lots of sort of lugging around when you need it. And everything you need for these group sessions is in that box. So you've got your curriculum and facilitator guide. Within the first section of that book, you've got facilitator skills that teach you a little bit, if you're new to group facilitation, how you can sort of set that up. And then there's tips throughout the booklet. So if you've got a group that's really like pulling teeth, you've got some examples in there you can use, but hopefully you'll get a good group as well. And that's the nature of group work. It will depend. The aims and objectives are in every session, and your session plan, your resource checklist, and a step-by-step guide. Now that's there again to help you get this program or get this session off the ground, but it isn't set in stone. It's led by the young people in front of you. So if you feel what's said in the book isn't going to work on this occasion, you're able to change that and work to what's in the room. That's the whole point of it. So it's really flexible to use to your advantage. It's not there to make your job harder. The activity cards are colour coordinated. Again, I've got some on view if you want to go and see some, if you've not seen the resources before. And they are able to provide a flexible structure that, again, you use and led by the group's needs. And like I said, it's all carried in a box file. There's 4 sessions to the programme. I'm really sorry. 4 sessions to the programme. And it's about a 2-hour delivery. But if you're new to it, I'd probably say get yourself 3 hours just to be able to allow for hiccups. Again, ideally you're aiming for 6 to 10, but it's purposely been put together that if you've got a smaller number turn up on the day, you can still do something with that. If you overprescribe just to get a group together and they all come, tell us how you did that. That's a really good thing that you've done. If you overprescribe it, like I said, tell us how you did that, because it is really difficult to get these young people to come. But when they do, they actually realise this is probably the course they didn't know that they needed. But you can then deliver it to a bigger group as well. You can get creative with your venue choice. Again, I didn't want it to be that you had to deliver it on site. If you can't find rooms, or you could deliver it in the community. Maybe actually doing that would get people to come, because maybe they don't want to come to hospital because they might have remembered their diagnosis, and that's quite traumatizing to keep going back. So you can be as creative as you really are able to. Again, find the time that works for your participants. There isn't a best time really, but our focus group, when we put this together, was actually Tuesday or Thursday evenings worked quite well, they said, and sort of late afternoon and into the evening, which might require a bit of a change to your working schedule normally. But that's what young people need, because they're probably working up against their first or second job and they want to make a good impact. So they don't want to be missing time to look after their diabetes if at the minute the diabetes is okay. But they might come to an evening session. I'm just going to say now, the first or second time you do this, it might not go to plan, and that's absolutely okay. Give yourself permission to do things wrong the first time and learn from it and build up your knowledge as you go. And we would ask you to evaluate each session using, we've got a new form, so none of you in Wales would have had this, but I have been trialling it with England, who have bought this programme off us in some of their teams. And the now way we're evaluating is really well. So I'm going to show you some of that in a sec. More importantly, I want you to enjoy your job. You've trained really hard to be able to help young people or help people living with diabetes. And I want that to be able to be something you think, do you know what, I could really make a difference using this programme. And you absolutely can. Any member of the team can deliver SEREN Connect. So whether you're a doctor, a nurse, a clinical psychologist, a dietitian, if you're lucky enough to have a youth worker in your team, any member can be. It's not prescribed. It's actually what can you do with what you've got? Get you to know the resources to get the most out of them. And if you've got a big enough team and some of those staff members prefer working with young adults, get them involved. Again, if you can balance when your facilitation team and MDT approach, then you've got every angle covered, but that isn't ideal. So if you can't, you can still deliver the programme with what you've got. Again, if you can, if paediatrics and adults can work together to co-deliver this so that when these young people move across, they know who the adult team are, that's only going to benefit the adult team as well. So it should be on paediatrics responsibility when this is delivered as transitional care to educate the young people before they go across. But it really does make a difference if they know who the adult team is first and they know who they can call once they do move across. You can scale your facilitation team up and down in response to the group. So like I said, if you're going to have 3 of you present and only 2 turn up, have somebody to step outside, plan that ahead so you can still do something, and it's definitely still worth the time. Debrief as a team at the end of each session. What went well? What could you have done differently? What did you learn from this particular group? Because you can also learn from the young people as much as they can learn from you. They can actually learn from each other. And that's probably one of the most frustrating things I tell healthcare professionals. You can say things till you're blue in the face and you know it will help them. Somebody with diabetes can come along and say the same thing, and all of a sudden they'll go, oh, I might try that. And so if that's what works, get these young people together and get them to help each other. It really does change and break that isolation that sometimes you don't even know that you're feeling. And again, I can't emphasize enough. Get involved in the activities and enjoy what you do. It's really difficult working in the NHS at a minute. So I hope that this gives you something that you can maybe look forward to. Like I said, you can overprescribe to allow for dropout. Provide information up front as to why this course is worth their time. Send out reminders if you've got the facilities to do that, and find your catalysts. If you know a young person's going to come or would really benefit from coming, try and get them in the room and say, do you know what, I'd really like you to be here. You actually want to help them, but try and get them so that you feel they're going to help other people and they might learn, you know. So find out where your characters are, because they can sometimes make or break group education. And that's something I used to always do with young people and always worked quite well. If engagement is difficult, small steps, okay? Just try and get somebody to come to the first session, see how they feel. They're allowed to drop out afterwards, and maybe tell the adult team and they can have a second chance at this down the line. But small steps will still move people forward. Activities can be adapted. We've got some teams in England using this programme, and they said they've worked quite well with young people who are neurodiverse and who have learning disabilities, and they've come to SEREN Connect, and they wouldn't come to the programme they were using before. That again for me was a massive win, because we do need to find something that can cater for everyone. And it's really good to hear that these activities are adapted by staff and can do that. Avoid cancelling sessions due to small numbers. It's still worth the time. If you only got 2 people, but those 2 people learned something and you were going to be there for the same amount of time anyway, it's worth still going ahead, even if you did invite 10 to 12 people. And again, like I said, let them teach you and teach each other. So this is how I've been collecting some of the evaluation from NHS England in my new form, which I've trialled with them and now we can use. So I've got an NHS Wales one that we'll send out after today. But really interestingly, for the adult colleagues in the room, 47% of participants in England are actually already adults coming on this programme and giving really good feedback. So what I'd really like to do is, whilst this was a transitional care programme, it actually could just be a standalone programme you use with young adults in your adult service. That also gives you a second chance, if they didn't want to engage in paediatrics, to have that education before they're 25. Because things will change and they might not have wanted to when they were 16, but they might have a new boyfriend or girlfriend or new job, or, you know, oh, I might need to get my head around my diabetes now. And so that's the window of opportunity to get them back in. So it gives them a second safety net when we look at the whole course of diabetes journeys. So I found that really interesting. So we can tweak the programme to be just a young adults programme as well. 96%, every time I get an evaluation form come in, I go, oh, how's these numbers going to look now? But the numbers are really good. 96% felt more confident to manage their diabetes after attending SEREN Connect sessions. And 90% felt more motivated to do that. That is only ever going to be a win. Getting them there might have been really difficult, but this is what's happening once they come out of the course. 87% overall programme rating. I would take that any day of the week from teenagers, and even from adults, but anything better than it's all right from teenagers for me is a win. And actually, when we're asking them what they want more of, they're actually saying the sessions were pretty good. They were almost already perfect. But what they do want is more people to come, more group sessions, so that actually when they get there, they are enjoying. And we were really lucky that we put in for an award in 2020, and we actually won two. We put in for the Diabetes Education Programme of the Year. We come away with that. And we've also put in for the Judges Special Awards. We were up against Language Matters, and Language Matters is also something that I'm really passionate about as well. I never thought we'd win against Language Matters and NHS England, but we did. And that's just, you know, I'm just grateful we've had this opportunity to put this together. That's some of the judges' comments that came from the feedback that we had. So again, this is there, and we've had this made in Wales. What better day to use it? It's there and it's available at the moment, centrally funded for you. So yeah, that's just great, really. Like I said, I can't do this on my own. And actually what's been really good about this programme is I've involved different people in the current resources when it's been a speciality of theirs. So if you're sat there thinking, do you know what, I'd like to do a bit of this, or I'd like to just proofread, or I'd like to just give comments, or anything you think you'd like to get involved in, please let me know today, because I would love to just be able to collaborate with some of you, or some of your colleagues if they can't be here today. If you're a Welsh speaker, I'd love to be able to have another pair of eyes to look at the bilingual resources we've got coming. So we're going to update your delivery pack so that actually, if you've got a young person that actually learns in school in Welsh, but we're never really going to have a team where we can maybe deliver in Welsh, they've still got all of the resources then in front of them in Welsh, and they can translate in their head if they need to, which is really beneficial for someone who's bilingual speaking and learns bilingually. So we're going to update those packs for you soon as we've got it off. But if you are a Welsh speaker and you want to look at some of them before we sign them off, that would be great. But please let me know how you'd like to get involved, and Ness is there at the back where you can register your email address, and I'll be in touch soon. Enjoy the rest of the day. We're going to hear from some of the actual people who've been using it. It's not just putting it together. We've got a brilliant guest speaker I'm looking forward to seeing as well. And it's just some of the pictures that we got the Children Young People's Network involved in the development of the programme. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah, and congratulations from all of us on your awards and the hard work that hopefully is going to bring this programme to life for our young people.